This is the crankshaft from my Rotax 503. It was installed in a Kitfox Model 1 that first flew in April 1987. So I pulled the motor apart with fairly low hours. There's 196 hours showing on the tach. And I ran it a little and it seemed to run pretty good, but it had sat for 7 years and the motor's 30 years old now. 31 actually. So I figured I better have a look at it. I noticed that the seal was leaking on the mag side. So I had split the crankcase, and if you look here, the PTO side bearings have just a little play there. So I'm going to get them pressed off and replaced. This is the older Provision 4 motor. So it's a little different on the center. We have this cut, whereas the later Provision 8 had these same bearings, the larger bearings throughout. So this is a 6207 on the mag side, one bigger bearing. It looks like the center bearings are the same size as the PTO side, and that's a 6206. Not sure how well we'll be able to see this, but these center bearings also have just a little bit of play in them. They have those rings to center it in the crankcase. Just a little bit of play there. And then this spacer has some play. I don't know if it's sitting on a needle bearing, but I will find out. I don't usually work outside, but since the lighting is better, I am out on the ground. So the connecting rods have a little side play there, but back and forth they're nice and tight. So that's the crankshaft. Moving on to the crankcase, I found this. Looks as though this first bearing on the mag side spun. Now looking at the crank, this one larger bearing is actually the tightest, and I really don't feel any play in there at all. And they all do spin good. No hang-ups or anything. Just smooth as glass. But this is a consideration that I have to look at carefully. You can see every imperfection in it. These phone cameras really work good. But that's barely worn at all, just shined up enough that you can see that it probably spun. It's possible that it was just walking with the other end of the crank moving a little bit. But it does look like it turned. Looking at the bottom half of the case, you see the same thing. And I can just catch my fingernail in there. It doesn't really catch, but I can feel it, a little bit of a lip right there. And that's about it.